Welcome back to What the Tech. My name is Adam Lobo. This is episode 19. And you are?
I am Vernon. Great to be back, as usual.
It's been a very long day, so that's why I started off saying episode 19 says What the Tech and introduce myself and yourself. But thank you so much for coming back.
No problem.
Povan had
Always
to
a
wait
pleasure.
for us for 1 hour before we can start the whole podcast. Going straight into the news, we do have a very interesting tease, Vernon. Samsung Ultra Great
teasing us?
Foldable. So Samsung is teasing us, but there's a video which they did. So that was quite interesting. Google is being replaced by Perplexity. Hopefully I can keep on
Perplexity.
saying that properly. Nothing Phone 3 has been officially announced on the 2nd of July with a very interesting change which they've done. More WWDC rumors, not huge or major news, especially from a hardware perspective, is kind of quiet down. But from a software perspective, there are some slither of news here and there. So we are going to be talking about that because WWDC is next week. And of course, we do have our community segment question to ask about whether you prefer taking photos or videos on a phone that gives you more control or can handle everything with AI. An interesting question posed by our teammate Syed as well. So we're going to be talking about that. In terms of video releases, as is a little technical for this time around. We'll be talking about that and also what is coming up next week when it comes to our releases as well. Okay, Vernon, let's start off with Samsung's tease of the week, which is the Ultra Great Foldable. What are your thoughts about that?
I think from the teaser, I was a little underwhelmed because it doesn't look any different, and the screen ratio looks the same. It's a single fold. It's not a double fold. Doesn't seem like there's anything new with the Ultra. Apparently, it's going to be called what? Z Fold 7 Ultra. Supposedly.
They're probably going to just change the name, but you're right about how it's not a wow factor. It's their 7th generation. Hopefully, it comes with the most important thing they need to do, especially by now with the Oppo releasing their Oppo Find N foldable,
Competitions
so thin,
have-
very
have,
good software
like, caught up, right?
optimization. Because last time the biggest argument was that Samsung always did well when it comes to software optimization. But when Oppo released the Oppo Find N5, the software experience was great, especially with their integration together with the Mac, right?
Yeah.
Like being able to control your Mac with the Oppo Find N foldable and stuff. So I was hoping that it was going to be the G. Remember the one where it folds into G? We talked
But
about
that
it
was like
here.
the tri-fold. Right?
Yeah, but if you ask me if that was the Ultra foldable, is fine. Hopefully, Samsung is teasing us.
Maybe.
Meaning they show that regular foldable, but maybe the Ultra is going to be the G fold or the
I
tri-fold
do
per se.
hope so, because honestly, from the teaser, it's very underwhelming. And what does Ultra actually really mean? I mean, they put it in the Galaxy S series and the Ultra, which represents the best of the best of the best, right?
Yeah.
That Samsung can offer. Is this the best foldable from Samsung? Yeah, probably. But is it good enough in terms of competition with what the competition has put out, lately? And the competition is really good, I have to say. I mean, they've been talking about a more powerful camera, more AI tools, which is a whole hum for me. But then again, when you look at it, the rumors have said it's going to feature a 200 megapixel camera, but it's not going to have the space zoom. It's only going to be limited to a 3x optical zoom, maybe, which isn't very ultra in my books. And maybe they're kind of diluting the Ultra brand in a sense.
It's
I don't know what you
interesting
think.
how we are having this conversation about how we have reached peak foldable because
Have we reached peak foldable? Yeah,
Because-
maybe in a sense, yeah.
previously we were always talking about reaching peak smartphone, and then here's the foldable. And after 6 or 7 generations from Samsung, it seemed like, or would you think that if we have already reached a peak foldable status?
Yeah, I think fundamentally it hasn't changed so much. The iterations have improved. I mean, less visible crease, thinner and lighter form factors, but ultimately it's not that big a change, to be honest.
Yeah, I think what Samsung needs to do, like this time there's no excuse, because if Huawei can make a 18-inch screen
Into a
without 13-inch laptop,
Chassis.
and the
Yeah.
crease was so minimal when we saw it in China, I think at this point in time they really need to move forward by having a very good foldable without a crease, or as minimal as
Yeah.
possible. If not better than the Oppo Find N, probably the closest to it. And also light and thin. I am not all about the thin.
True.
I mean, I'm not all
Same.
about having a device being thin. For
Yeah,
me, as
same.
long as it's nice and robust, is fine. Because IP rating is so important for all of
Yeah.
us, especially for foldable. I think, as usual, Samsung is going to be better or a king when it comes to software and trying to get things aligned better with their AI usage, probably with Google or even their very own Galaxy AI features into the foldable a little more. Which if you ask me, last year they already integrated a lot, like the translate, having it with a flip and the fold. Speaking of that, what's interesting is that a teaser has been catered a little more on the foldable, but does this mean that the flip is not going to change? What are your thoughts about that?
No, I think the feed is probably gonna stay the same, pretty much fundamentally.
You don't think that they're going to make it like an all screen, something like what they did with the Razer?
I wish they did,
Right.
but maybe. Who knows? There's nothing on online about the flip, and
So
it's
speaking of-
strangely very quiet.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see in a couple of days. I don't
Speaking
know.
of the flip, when I was in China, I also got my hands on with the Pura X. I've got my
I like the
thoughts
Pura
about
X,
that.
by the way.
I like it too.
I like
but
the
when
ratio.
Yeah.
Oh.
But when I went and saw it when I saw it hands on, it still looked like a flip. Like, I know the ratio is different, but on a first glance, it still looked like a flip. It didn't give me like, oh, it's so much of a difference.
Okay.
So,
Is that a problem for you? A flip clamshell?
I mean, it's
form
not a
factor?
problem for me. I like it. I like the idea of using it at a video cam mode, and I like the fact that there's more screen being used by Huawei or even the Xiaomi's Mix Flip. But the question, like I said, is that would Samsung not bother to upgrade on the flip and
Yeah.
just concentrate on the fold?
I mean, it's 7th generation already. You kind of expect something a little bit bigger or more substantial, right? There's another point that I wanted to bring up was battery life. And apparently the Ultra, the Z Fold 7 Ultra, is going to have the same battery, which is of 4,400 milliampere hour. Why not silicon carbon? I
Yeah,
would
I'm
ask, right?
very
I'm
surprised.
curious,
Yeah, I'm also very curious on why Samsung has not adapted or adopted
Yeah.
the silicon carbon battery, because almost every other smartphone companies are doing it.
Yeah.
Except
And especially
for,
on an Ultra, it's
Yeah.
supposed to have an Ultra
But
experience.
why do you think? Is it because it's like an iPhone story whereby it's because there's a lot of people manufacturing it, the demand is higher, hence why they didn't want to put in the silicon carbon battery? I don't get it. What are your
I
thoughts
don't know,
about
but
that?
I mean, to be honest, when you develop a phone, it's like 2-3,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe 2-3 generations in front, right? So they could have been developing this already 2-3 years before this. So maybe the technology hasn't caught up then. But then again, that's no excuse. Other manufacturers have integrated silicon carbon batteries into their phones.
So based on the rumors, they are still not using the silicon carbon
Based on-
battery
yeah.
on the,
Maybe they'll surprise us. I don't know.
hopefully.
Hopefully.
It's like how they gave us a surprise for the very first fold. Because when they released the very first fold, you would think that, is this going to be a concept and they're not going to have it for sale? But eventually they said it's available for sale. Not the best foldable in the world, but they were the first. But probably we get better news in terms of the foldable, because as much as we reach peak smartphone, it seems like we have already reached peak
foldables.
So that was a very interesting teaser, which is available on Samsung's newsroom. That's how we got the exact. It's not like leaks or anything. It was literally shown by them as well. The second news is about a potential problem for Google. So let's talk about that.
It depends. It depends on your perspective, whether it's good or bad.
Okay.
Because, as you know, Google has this antitrust trial with the US.
Yeah.
And it's about monopoly, and it's about pre-installing Google, or at least having Google search as the pre-installed search engine on all the phones. Same with Apple, right? Apple pays Google billions every year to have it as a default search engine in the phones and all the devices. So it could be a good thing for Google
Okay.
that Samsung is kind of considering moving to Perplexity, which is really an AI deep research tool. I kind of categorize Google Search and Gemini in another bucket compared to Perplexity. Perplexity is more deep research, not something that you use probably daily. But yeah, so it's very interesting that they're mulling this, at least it's the rumors, if we were to believe the rumors, right? That Samsung is going towards adopting Perplexity. And they're doing it in three ways. Number one, they're going to introduce a separate app, meaning Perplexity is going to be another app aside from Gemini on Samsung devices. Number two is going to be integrated with Bixby. As you know, there's very little talk of Bixby nowadays, the personal assistant, right? And then it's going to be integrated into Samsung's web browser, internal web browser on all the devices. I feel it's an advantage for Perplexity because in terms of users, it's lacking behind ChatGPT, it's lacking behind Meta AI. ChatGPT does about 500 million kind of users monthly, and Meta AI has like 1 billion. Perplexity is kind of lagging behind. So what's happening is that Samsung is apparently investing into Perplexity, and by actually having a hardware partner like Samsung, Perplexity has the potential to reach more devices, 1 billion Samsung devices out there. So it's good for Perplexity to get that mass appeal. And Samsung is actually a key investor in Perplexity, apparently 500 million USD for valuation of 14 billion at the moment. So interesting times for, I think, users. For me, I use Perplexity for deep research.
You do?
So I do.
Yeah.
So if I need to really find out about a topic, Perplexity is really good because it cites all the sources and all that stuff and gives it context for you. And Gemini obviously is also another tool that I use. So I think having both on a device isn't really a problem.
So, because the reason why I'm surprised that you use Perplexity is because I've never used Perplexity at all, like never, because I'm like, there's another software I have to use. And I'm sure that a lot of people can relate whether or not they're tech fans or not, because you don't want to install another app and to get that.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that their research is deeper. And of course, we are tech guys, we actually understand. But I'm sure that if you ask a non-tech guy or a non-tech woman, you say, hey, have you heard of Perplexity? I was like, is that another AI? And since, they've already, or most people have already adapted ChatGPT into their homes and their ecosystems.
Or Gemini.
And Gemini. Yeah. It's like, I have to come up with another thing. That's question number one. The second one is that, I don't know about you guys, I don't know about you, even when I need to search for something, I will open Chrome.
Okay. And use Google Search.
And here's how I search, I'll open the Chrome app and then I'll go up at the place where you put a link and I will type something there. Yeah.
Which is how,
whether or not it's using the default search engine of Perplexity, for me, I don't know about you guys, so let us know in the comment section below. I will still default to using Chrome. Like Lihood uses Opera, which is a way better browser than Google Chrome. But because of how they have my data there, which I don't care, I still use Chrome for situations like that because they know that I've searched for things like that. So even though the default may not be Google anymore, I still search by opening the Chrome browser. How do you search?
So here's interesting data, right? So they found out that people actually, most people don't actually change the default browser or search engine in their browser. So like you're just going to Chrome or whatever browser that you have and searching in the search bar, and then the results come out. It could be Bing, it could be Google. So even if you introduce Perplexity within the browser, people will likely not change it. So they don't really care.
Or for all you know, people won't even know. It's
They won't know.
Perplexity.
Yeah, they won't know. They won't bother to change.
Yeah.
So most that they found based on data and research, that nobody.
So
changes.
it's more like, I think what Perplexity is doing is that they just want people to use their service for the sake of having numbers of people using it. It's not so much of awareness, I feel. Is that what do you think as well?
Yeah, so it's awareness. It's about mass adoption, which Perplexity doesn't have right now, losing out to ChatGPT and also.
But would a regular user know that they are using Perplexity? That's my question.
They wouldn't if the default was Perplexity in a browser.
Right?
Yeah, but I mean maybe results will be different because I feel that in terms of search, Google still has the advantage, and different LLMs have different advantages and pros and cons. Like Perplexity is great for deep research. If you use Claude, it'll be great for code.
Yeah.
Right. ChatGPT in general is pretty good for what it does. Gemini also has advantages in different areas. So it highly depends on what you want to do with these LLMs.
So currently, Motorola has a deal with them at this point in time. So
On the
which
Razrs,
means that so on the Razrs they're using Perplexity. But I'm also a little curious because as of late, especially this year and last year, the integration and the relationship between Google and Samsung have been so strong. Like the XR, the Project Mohan is being created, co-developed together with Samsung.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know whether you noticed this, is that during the Google I.O., some of the demonstration
They
they're
were
using
using
Samsung
Samsung
phones.
phones. Yeah.
So I'm like, what's happening here? So now by they going to Perplexity, are they trying to like play a hardball with Google and say, hey, by the way, we can do this also?
I mean, they could. I mean, as a hardware manufacturer, you have that choice, right?
Yeah.
I feel maybe choice is good. Choice is good. Yeah. Well, I don't see it happening so soon in terms of, and I don't think they're going to completely kick out Gemini as a default AI assistant. I don't think that's going to happen in the short term.
Yeah, because Gemini is still very powerful.
Yeah, Gemini
you and
is
I,
still
we
Gemini.
use it, and a lot of people.
And it's so integrated with Google Assistant, right? So I don't.
Especially if you're in the Google's ecosystem, like your Gmail and your calendar,
Exactly.
in the vision, everything is so much better.
Yeah.
I feel if they were to really make this move, from a Google's perspective, they might freak out because there's a lot of money being involved. But
Exactly.
I personally think that Samsung should just stick with Google because that is widely recognized. And in the US, for example, majority of people using an Android phone is still not Pixel users. They still use Samsung because of their track record of being a hardware company for the longest time. So if I was in Samsung's position, I was just saying, you know what? Probably not. But again, these are just rumors that we have
just
over
rumors.
here. The next news that we're going to be talking about is the fact that the Nothing Phone 3, finally, because remember how we had this discussion about how instead of releasing the 3, they released the 3A first. It's like, what happened to the 3? Probably because of this new change, that's the reason why they have delayed their launch. The biggest thing is that they are teasing, not confirmed, that it is teasing to remove the glyph interface to change it to
Well, the teaser is quite
pretty
quite
obvious.
revealing, right?
Yeah,
They're
it-
shutting down the glyph.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts about a glyph interface first and foremost?
I mean, it was a good gimmick, to be honest. I thought it was interesting when it was first introduced. In terms of actual real use, I didn't think it was very functional. But I mean, people loved it. And I think it was one of the reasons to love the Nothing phone and the Nothing brand. They're doing something different. But now that they're completely removing it, I'm not so sure about what I think about that.
Because,
And they're introducing this dot matrix type of glyph lighting system. So I don't know.
the dot matrix is definitely better in terms of usability. The glyph interface
because it's customizable in a way where you can.
is almost like the ROG phones from Asus.
Correct.
But if you ask me, if the glyph interface is something that
Represented nothing, yeah.
it represented nothing. But you're right, because when it was first introduced, I was excited. You know, Lihut did a cool intro with that, and that's it. It's like after that, I said, okay, are you looking at the back of the phone? No. And I had this huge argument in my video review about who uses the phone and put it face down. So people like MKBHD apparently does that, but I don't. I still put my phone face up.
Same.
If I want to
As you can
mute, if I want to mute the notification, I'll just mute it. But I have control. So
And also the likelihood of people using it with a case. And I am one who uses phones with a case because I'm so paranoid at scratches and stuff. So I'll never see the glyph if I had a nothing phone.
But if you say that for users who uses a case, so you won't even see the new dot matrix. Then.
No, I won't. I mean, I can have a clear case, right? But
you could have the clear case before this. Why did you have it then? Now you have
because I'm a gone case.
Okay, let's discuss about how the new dot matrix, or what are your thoughts or your ideas about how this can be more helpful? What kind of information do you want to see at the back there?
I don't want to see anything.
Other than this is Vernon's phone, or
I mean, notifications, yes.
Okay.
Customizability. People like to personalize their phones. It makes it more fun. They probably introduce some kind of simple games behind it. Possible. Okay. It's possible, right?
Again, same games. Like the ROG phone. It was cool to have it at the back, but eventually...
Bit of animation and stuff to make it fun. But that's about it. It's really gimmicky, to be honest, for me. But some people like it. To be honest, my love for Nothing Phone is the OS.
I agree.
And I think the OS is really nice. It's really slick as an Android.
I just hope they keep making their software nice and clean.
Software is really
very
good.
nice.
Yeah.
It's like one of our favorite softwares whenever we review. Whether or not you want something very clean or you want something which is a bit more, I feel like the way that Nothing OS did their operating system is that it is in the middle. If you want to be all, you want to be a bit more fancy, you can. If you want to be just plain monochrome, you can. Yeah. And it's clean. Yeah. It doesn't feel like, oh, what is this? What is this coming out? Yeah. One interesting factor is that...
And no bloatware.
Yeah, so bloatware is one thing. Because I remember I had this interesting conversation with this auntie when I went to collect my medication. Phone, yeah. She was not using a Nothing Phone, but she told me, "Hi Adam, how can I remove these ads?" So she was using a Samsung phone. Oh, okay. And I was like, what do you mean by the ads? So here's the thing. I think people's awareness of the ads are also not very clear. I said, sorry, auntie, I don't understand what you mean. So she said, then I said, okay, if I'm not mistaken, Samsung does not have like ads popping up, like different
not
stuff.
Not popping up, but I think through the feed.
Yeah, they do have. Then I asked her, when did you get the ads? Oh, whenever I open TikTok. So the issue here was TikTok. So that's why I think people's awareness of the ads popping up when they use the phone is also a bit less. So here's where we need to, for you all to tell your aunties and uncles and grandmommy and mommy
education
and
is important.
Yeah, because sometimes the ads is not from the phone itself. Sometimes it's from there. But I think Nothing's OS, going back to that, the OS has been very clean. It is looking to be released on the 2nd of July. Which is Malaysian time, which is 1st of July.
1st of July is very soon.
Yeah, which is, close eyes, open eyes, okay. Of course, I think one of the main things they're going to be doing is going to be changing their camera system. Definitely it's not going to be a 2-camera system anymore. Since the Nothing Phone
it's going to be more pro. It's going to be more pro,
I hope that they make this device like a proper flagship. I don't care about the price, to be honest, because I feel like...
What's interesting is CEO Carl Pei was teasing that it's going to be more expensive, right?
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't mind it being expensive as long as you provide the best.
Yeah.
Try not to compromise on certain things. And then you say like, oh, it was hard. We don't care whether or not it's hard. You just give us the best phone and you want to charge accordingly, people will eventually buy it. Same like the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, right?
Yeah.
Eventually still a lot of people went out there and buy it. So far, we never... Have you seen any in-depth review of the...
No.
Yeah, so far nobody has done an in-depth review to let us know whether or not the battery lasts.
I think MKBHD has done a review, but in terms of battery life per se, I don't...
No, he did like a first impressions kind of thing, but he didn't really use it daily. So there was a bunch of videos. I don't know whether it's an embargo thing, but I never seen anyone like talk about...
Embargo?
Yeah. So like... Becca Versace,
Yeah.
formerly from The Verge, she did a camera review on the Edge.
She does 1,000 pictures.
Yeah, the
kind of
1,000
thing.
pictures. I like that.
Yeah, I like that
But
too.
not really talking into the battery as much. We want to know what's the screen on
Becca
time. they
doesn't
can
really
get.
do spec stuff.
Yeah. She's always been the
She's
kind of
very
person
lifestyle-y,
who's
yeah.
very lifestyle, and her reviews are always amazing.
Yeah.
So that is what we know as of now. Of course, we'll be getting more leaks towards
Yeah,
the
I think
next several
one
weeks.
problem with Nothing was always distribution in the US, right? Even with the Nothing Phone 2,
Yeah.
only the Nothing Phone 2 was available in the US. The rest were kind of sold through retail channels or beta channels.
Yeah,
I think that's something they need to solve with the Nothing Phone 3.
yeah.
But apparently, it is going to make its way to the US this time,
Okay.
which is, irrelevant to us. We just want to know whether it's coming to Malaysia.
It will come to Malaysia, but just don't do a CMF phone and just release something and then you don't release it in Malaysia. Like, that was super annoying. Like until now,
No
I'm
accessories.
not happy about that. But Nothing doesn't have like some funky accessories, so I think that should be something that we are not worried about. But hopefully, that is something. But before we close this particular topic, there also might be a rumor that the headphones
Oh, yes.
might be also released at
Finally.
the same time with the Nothing Phone 3.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that Nothing is going into the audio market because, as Kalpe has mentioned in one of his plenty of YouTube videos, I feel like if Nothing does not have, or the company goes bankrupt or whatever, Kalpe should be a YouTuber.
He's a very good. He's a very good. I was never a fan in the early days, but he's kind of grown on me.
Yeah.
He's pretty spot on in terms of doing the review.
Yeah, he's
reviews
quite
and stuff.
good on his reviews.
He's very
So-
savvy. He's very marketable.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
One of his videos, I remember he was mentioning about the team who's working on audio, because he was doing the reviews of other people reviewing the product. And
Review of the reviewer.
so when Arun Maini, Mr. Who's the Boss, said that the audio was very good, like 9 out of 10, and he was very happy about it, saying about how the audio team is very good because it comes
They started with audio, right?
with audio anyway. So that is something whereby we are eager to see, and I think they'll do a way better job than Dyson did with their headphones. Remember that?
I haven't tried that, so I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it's horrible.
Really?
I checked out. I went to the US, and I remember they had it on display in San Francisco itself. So there was a store. I heard it, and I was like, and the guy was so proud about it.
The
Is it
audio
good?
was
Is it
bad?
good? Audio is horrendous.
What about ANC? I always imagine
No,
with Dyson.
it sounds very
Sounds like
plasticky.
a vacuum.
No, it sounds very plasticky. I mean, Dyson's technology is great, but we all know what direction they're going through right now with the whole beauty, and now they have the thinnest vacuum and stuff. But I feel like Dyson's lost it. So that is Nothing Phone. Hopefully we get more rumors coming soon for this 2nd July release. And the final news, of course, since what's exciting next week is WWDC. WWDC has always been known to have a lot of software features, but they occasionally, or most recently, always release some sort of a hardware. Most of the time it has been updates. So let's start off with the software. So apparently we do have almost confirmation with the fact that it's going to be following the year.
Year-based, yeah.
So it's not going to be following the number system. So everybody knows that if it's 26, it is year 2025 to 26, something like football leagues. So what is the new Mac called? Or rumored to be called?
Traditionally, Mac OS always had a code name, right? So we know the code name now is Tahoe for Lake Tahoe. And it's going to be a major UI overhaul that we talked about previously. I just want to say that it kind of reminds me of Aqua. Remember Aqua, where the design interface for Mac OS 10? This was 25 years ago. Mac OS 10 had Aqua, and they always marketed it as a lickable buttons, and buttons that were translucent and very edible.
By the way, guys, Vernon is 100 years old. So 25 years ago. He's like Captain America.
I was just telling Adam earlier when I remember the time where Mac OS 10 was released. I was in London at that time, and I was queuing up to buy the software. at a retail
In
Apple
London?
retail in
You were in
London.
London?
Mac OS 10 was released. I was number 25 in the queue. I had this ticket. And I was like, there were people outside who were curious and what's this queue about? And they approached me and asked me, and I said, I'm lining up for software. And they said, what?
What were you doing
I
in
thought
London? Or
it was
like
a new
25
club,
years?
and I said, no, it's not a new club. We're just lining up for software. Sorry, we're geeks.
What were you doing in London 25 years ago?
I was working in London for a couple of years, and so I was based there. So I was, I was retail store. I got to bring that retail box home. Those days we had retail boxes.
If only you still had it.
I still have it.
Oh my God, I want to see
I
it.
still have a couple of the retail boxes at home.
Wow.
I should bring it the next time.
Yeah.
We'll just put it here as a display.
Yeah, so, I mean, for those of you who have been following the channel, and you all know that I'm a huge Mac fan, especially Mac OS, always used it, not 25 years ago, but 20 years.
Did you use Mac OS pre OS 10? Did
Yeah.
you OS 9, OS 8?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a very big
but I
change.
didn't line up and all because I couldn't go to London. But yeah, that's actually quite interesting. Fantastic factor.
But yeah, I mean, nowadays you don't buy physical DVDs or CDs.
But it's nice, with the whole cover and all. I remember how the cover looked. It was huge box, a small CD
Apple
there.
sticker, stuff like that.
So that would be for the Mac. As for iOS, there is a rumor going on about how they're going to be having a charging time, something which Android already had. So of course the Android fanboys are going to be making noise about it.
I mean, it's practical, it's useful, but it's not like a major feature for anyone.
Agreed, but I feel it's useful, especially if you're dailying an iPhone, because at least you know. But with the current charging optimization, whether or not it's needed, that's a whole separate thing, because before you're waking up, you know that it's already charged and optimized accordingly. I think this would be more useful if the fast charging has been improved. So you'll kind of know, because if the fast charging is going to remain the same, then probably maybe it's good to have it there. But if they're going to improve the fast charging, then it'd be great. So at least you know that, okay, I have another 1 hour left. It's a good thing to have.
As a visual indicator, it's a lot like you mentioned the Android phones where if you plug in, let's say, fast charging, it'll tell you that it's charging at a particular rate. And like my Motorola phones will tell me if it's turbo power or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it means it's on fast charging mode. Yeah, it's useful.
Yeah, Xiaomi and Vivo does that too.
Yeah.
I mean, like he'll tell
And
you
you
whether
get
or
a
not-
nice animation that
animation.
looks like it's charging.
I think the amount of watts or so is important, because I just recently bought this charging station thing because it's 6.6. So yeah. Go
6.6,
go and buy on Shopee.
you fell for it.
So no, I always wanted to buy those chargers for our devices here when I tell Saeed or Leo to help to charge a phone, because I want those smart ones where you can see a screen and it will intelligently charge it according to what the device can handle, and it doesn't like steal the wattage from each other. So I bought that from Anker, because Anker has always been great when
Anker's
it comes
good.
to that. So it's nice to have the screen to tell you how many watts is going in and out, to know whether or not your cable has any issues and all. Because instead of a cable having the screen, at least you can see that, okay, is this charging properly? And sometimes, like certain devices, like for example, if I want to charge my Whoop battery, I know that I try not to use the high wattage USB-C to do it.
Right.
And one of the things that we are doing moving forward is to have a separate drawer for USB-C data cable and USB-C
With PD and all
charging
that stuff,
cable, because that's one of the biggest differentiating factor to charge your devices properly. So by having this screen, and for this case, for the iPhone, I think it's actually very important for us to know whether or not is it being charged at the optimized charging speed, or are you using the right cable as well?
I would agree. I think the right cable is the thing, because no single cable is made the same.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know the differences between different cables.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different quality as well.
So besides having the estimated charging, hopefully they also have the voltage over there. At least people can kind of know. Besides the whole animation thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's plenty to see when that happens on June 9th. There's not too much to talk about in terms of actual features and stuff we don't know. We don't even really know what it looks like. Although the teasers do tell a little bit. It's translucent and
Yeah.
very glass-like, the UI. But yeah, interesting to know.
The last week we didn't talk about WhatsApp being on iPad. It's so good, especially for you. I'm sure you're
Yeah, I'm
started
using it right now.
iPad
I've been
a lot.
waiting for years. What, 10 years?
So another thing which a lot
It's
of people have
ridiculous.
been waiting. So this is also another rumor is that Meta might be finally releasing Instagram for
Instagram.
iPad. Woohoo!
It's
Does
about
that
10 years
excite
too
you?
late. No, it doesn't excite.
Is it because you don't use? No, you use Instagram a
I do
lot.
Instagram a lot, but I think it's mostly on the phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially with the aspect ratio.
I feel it's also because you don't take photos and videos on the iPad or a tablet
Yeah.
because it's just too big. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
And it's mostly on the phone.
and WhatsApp it's like a messaging app, so it's different. Compared
Yeah,
to
I'm just trying to
something
think
like
of a use case, but maybe because phones and tablets are kind of interconnected and stuff, you could share the workflow, capture stuff on your phone, and then move to a bigger screen to do edits if you need to.
Yeah.
It's a bit like a CapCut thing,
Yeah,
right? You got a bigger screen to play around with and edit
yeah.
within the workflow. It makes sense. And I remember, if you remember Windows Phone,
Leo's laughing.
we could kind of edit stuff and access Instagram via a tablet. Those were the days, 10 years ago or more. So yeah, it's taken a long time. I don't know why it's taken a long time, but I guess it's because you need to allocate resources for development for a particular platform. As you know, there's so many devices, right? And whether or not it makes sense to allocate that resources for that particular platform. So
Do you use Instagram on your Mac or on a desktop then?
No,
Why?
it's not optimized.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense.
So that's
even
my-
Facebook looks crap on a tablet or on a desktop, right?
Yeah, so instead of
It's
them
not very
coming up with
properly-
an app for an iPad, I feel it's more useful if they can come up with a proper optimized web version of Instagram on
Maybe,
desktop.
yeah, maybe.
So that whenever we do our reels and all, we don't have to send it to our phone and then post it up. So
That's right.
I think maybe because we are creators, but everybody is a creator now, right? Everybody
Correct.
is an
Everybody's a
influencer.
creator. Everybody's creative.
So I use the iPad, but not for creative work. I use it for my scripting and stuff, but I don't edit on the iPad.
Yeah.
I still edit on
I
my
used
Mac.
to.
I
used
know
to
you do. I know
yeah.
you used to. So for me, it's like, okay, bring in the iPad. Okay, fine. It's like the calculator app, right? How long
Calculator,
that-
yeah.
So that's software. Vernon, hardware-wise, since we last discussed this, there's no.
Oh, there's one thing about
additional-
software.
Oh, yes,
Well,
please.
I mean, we talked about games the last and why it's kind of been ignored. But apparently, there's going to be a games app
Ooh. Oh.
on iOS, macOS. So it's a dedicated games app.
But isn't that Apple Arcade?
No, it's different.
Okay.
It's different.
So they plan to do like
I mean, there's a games
separate-
mode now, right, on iPhone, a couple of generations behind. But yeah, it'll be good to see what this games mode is about. Games app is about.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So hardware-wise, as I mentioned, last week we had a bit more more solid rumors about this, but this time around there's nothing much. But just as a recap, the rumors suggest, speaking of games, there might be an Apple games console. I highly doubt it.
I doubt it.
So at this point in time, we are kind of going through all the rumors and go like highly doubt it or yes
Highly
or
doubt
no.
it, yeah.
Mac Pro with M4 Ultra chip, yes or no?
Likely,
Okay.
maybe not available, but announced.
That means available end of the year.
Oh, next
Probably.
year. I don't know.
Yeah.
They've done it before.
Studio display mini LED panel, yes or no?
50-50. I'm 50-50 on
And
that.
of course, this is with the higher refresh rate.
I feel that if they announce the Mac Pro, the display will come out as well.
together.
Not independently.
Okay, how about my favorite ever, the HomeKit smart home display? Come on, I need that.
I like that to come out.
Yeah, it'll be
With
new.
maybe new HomePod speakers or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because
but
re-
maybe not.
We had this
Highly
conversation about how Amazon Echo Alexa has quieted down a lot.
unlikely. Yeah, a lot.
So it'll be nice that if Apple did come up with this HomeKit smart home display, If it's not WWDC, it can be later of the year. I don't mind as long as just release it because I need
But
that.
it does make sense to announce it during Dub because
Yeah.
it's a developers conference, right?
Oh, there was, again, I know we are all over the place on this, the Apple CarPlay. So you saw the Aston Martin one?
Amazing. I love the Ultra, yeah. CarPlay
Yes.
Ultra.
So there were people talking about how, oh, now I need to own an Aston Martin. Actually, it's not.
No,
Just so you guys know that it was featured in the Aston Martin, but it is rumored. And it was announced actually 2 years ago. I was at WWDC during the time. And when they announced a new CarPlay, being able to have it on separate screens and stuff. So hopefully right now it is going to be available for every Apple CarPlay users. Oh, that'll be amazing.
Yeah, that's nice. But apparently there's a whole long list of car manufacturers who rejected Apple's offer to integrate CarPlay Ultra.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh.
I saw BMW, Buick, Audi, blah, blah, blah. There's a
Probably
long list.
because they are
Because
more
it
eager
takes-
to do their own stuff.
Yeah, it kind of takes over your entire interface. So maybe that's why. I'm not sure.
Could it be a safety feature though? Because if it takes over your whole entire interface, then maybe like the cars who have rejected be like, oh, those are the things. Either that or maybe they just want people to adapt better to the car's own interface.
Yeah.
So that
it's
every
more
car's
like a
are not-
user experience and probably a branding perspective kind of thing.
But for a person who uses or do not use Apple CarPlay, for example, do you think that this matters when someone buys a car?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends. I mean, when you consider a car, when it doesn't have Apple CarPlay, it's kind of like a
Same. I
Deal
had to pay
breaker.
1,600 ringgit.
Yeah, it's a
for
deal
it.
breaker.
Now it's free. Bloody hell. When I bought my car, I had to pay 1,600 ringgit for it.
I think the baseline is give me Apple CarPlay or Android Auto
Yeah.
or nothing.
Nothing OS.
Hey, you never know, right?
Right? Nothing
Or
OS. for
Harmony
car.
OS on the car.
Ooh, Harmony OS on the
Yeah,
car is still the best. Went to China, also it is the best. Like
I
imagine.
mean, in
how-
those days there was BBX or BlackBerry,
Yeah.
right? BlackBerry
yeah,
OS
it's true.
on the cars.
That's
But,
very true.
yeah,
So that
Apple
is the wrap up for the WWDC rumors. Of course, as usual, I'll be creating short form, quick content, staying up late to give you the best news when it comes to WWDC and all the announcement as well. For the community segment, the question is, would you prefer taking pictures or videos with a smartphone that gives you more control or ones that handles everything with AI? So that was the question. We had the highest votes for mostly AI, but few manual options. That was the highest vote. Least being full manual because I don't trust AI for creative work.
Wow.
And the
Spoken like
other
a true
option-
photographer.
Yeah, and there are other options like full AI automation, just point and shoot. 23%, which is the second highest, and 19%, which is the third place, mostly manual because they like to tweak the settings. So that is what you guys say, but let's find out what Vernon says about that.
I'm okay with AI. So minimal AI is good with some manual control.
Okay.
I think that was what?
That
I think
was
it
the
s-
highest.
I think it was the second one. Was it?
Yeah, it is the highest, but the second option. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me that would be the case. I don't mind AI too much because sometimes the slight tweaks actually help a lot with enhancing the photo. But I don't like it when it's overboard because even sometimes on the iPhone it overdoes it. Like it pushes colors too much or too
Yeah.
much contrast.
Yeah.
Or changes the white balance, for instance, where I don't want it to change. But yeah, full manual is not so practical on a daily basis.
Yeah, I know.
Unless you're really doing some, you're shooting raw or something for a particular project.
Yep.
Maybe yes, but under normal circumstances, just point and shoot, a little bit of AI enhancement, especially maybe low light mode.
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, especially low light.
Yeah.
For me, I have two different opinions based on pictures and videos. For pictures, I would go with the second option, which is mostly AI with few manual options. But I'm okay for it to be full AI as well. I like the idea of point and shoot. That's one of the reasons why people buy an iPhone, because I just take a picture and I'm sorted, right? I like how the sky
it's,
slows.
and it's very good nowadays. The baseline is so high, right? I mean, the quality is so
and I
good.
think these days, the full AI automation does not make it as fake as how it was.
Yeah.
very clear example, Samsung. Samsung used to be the smartphone company whereby you take pictures that's going to be too saturated.
The sky is so blue.
They've really dialed down so much, right?
It's more natural colours
although I
now.
love blue skies, but from a picture perspective, I don't mind the full AI automation. Just take a picture. You can even, hopefully, you can correct my perspective. Sometimes, like you don't have a proper perspective and all.
Yeah.
But from a video point of view,
Manual.
I want manual all the way.
Okay.
Yeah, because I guess I'm in the creative work, but I still prefer the idea of
Element of
adjusting. Flickr kills me. I hate Flickr. That's one of the things which I told Mo earlier when he was shooting the LG event that we had earlier. I said, bro, please take care of Flickr because we'll never realize it until we post and say, oh my God, there's a Flickr. So I like the idea of video being in control, and white balance also kills me. I cannot take suddenly out of nowhere it
Auto
changes.
white balance,
Auto white balance is like a big no-no for me.
I think for creators, that would
Yeah.
be the basic thing, right? The white balance.
But it's also, a lot of people do not realize that is one of the biggest issues, white balance, because like I say, everybody's being a creator. And when you do not nail your white balance and you wonder why is my picture quality look ugly, because I had like cousins coming up to me and showing me, hey, why my picture not good? Then you know what I did? I just tweaked the white color balance. I said, here you go. I said, wow, what you did? But all I did was just to tweak the white balance. So I feel white balance is so important, whether or not it's pictures or even video.
Yeah, and on that point, the white balance can differ from lens to lens, and especially if you're switching, right? Ultra wide to, let's say, a main lens.
I'm glad you brought that up.
If the color science isn't done properly, like the iPhone is really good at it.
Yeah.
But some Android phones that you look and you switch,
Exactly.
lenses,
Yes.
everything just goes whack.
I'm glad you said that, because for every review, and I'm sure Lihut can attest to this, is that I always talk about the color shift.
Yeah.
When switching between the ultra wide lenses to the main lenses, I always talk about that, because phones like the Poco F7 Ultra, which has all the ultra features, but they struggle on that before the latest update. And then after the update, they tweaked that because they knew that there was an issue because like you're like what you said, Samsung and iPhone does not have that issue.
It's also the quality of the hardware, right? So you get an 8 meg chip lens
Suddenly
compared
50,
to
50 megapixel main.
It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
I think that would be that. But yeah, as usual, we truly appreciate all of your feedback on that. And of
Very
course, if you
interesting
have
feedback.
any other questions, or if you feel like any specific topics that you want to talk about on a general perspective, just leave a comment down below. If you guys are hearing this, you can also put it at our comments over here on YouTube as well, especially on this particular video. So it's easier for us to check it out as well. So that would wrap up in terms of the community segment as well. As mentioned earlier, the next week news will be based on WWDC. So it's going to be lots to talk about. For the videos that we're going to be releasing, most probably we are going to be releasing a video why we went to China besides the MateBook Fold. We also checked out this very interesting switch, which is the Cloud Engine 88654C, a very interesting switch.
Very mouthful.
Which is, I know it's quite hard for me to record that. It is the switch which is in charge in every single payment that we make on our phones. Because it goes through, it's like a very important switch, which is a data center switch. We did our final touch-up of the shoot for our Samsung Galaxy Ring. Instead of me just reviewing the ring, we are also planning to compare with a very good fitness tracker, which is the Whoop Band. Finally, we have managed to shoot and script the Poco F6 Pro versus the Poco F7 Pro review that is coming up hopefully next week as well. So that is what we have. But of course, we have tons of short form content. So in case you guys are not following us on Instagram or even checking out our YouTube Shorts videos, which you should, because we'll be also creating short form videos from our podcast over here for you guys to check it out as well. So that wraps up our What to Tech episode 19. My name is Adam Lobo.
And I'm Vernon. See you in the next one.